In ancient Greece, the term idiot was reserved for those merely attending their individual interests and not participating in public life, caring for the common good, following the public affairs of the community, was, for ancient Greeks, of paramount importance. Today, in a Europe hit by endless economic and political crises, talking of common good and participation might seem like an outlandish idea. But for some, the idea that some goods, practices and services are of common interest and should be treated specially is gaining ground. Against increasing trends towards privatization, many are reclaiming a common right to things such as water, air, education and healthcare. This is why European Alternatives, an organization which promotes transnational democracy and new political and cultural practices beyond the nation-state, and the Teatro Valle Occupato of Rome, known as the first occupied cultural space of Italy, engage in a journey to discover what discourses and practices of the commons exist in Europe. This journey will unroll during the Transeuropa Festival, a cultural festival organized by European Alternatives.
Transeuropa Festival, c'est un festival artistique, culturel et politique qui se déroule dans 14 villes en Europe. Et en fait, c'est un moment d'ouverture et d'espace commun pour débattre et agir pour changer le futur de l'Europe.
The aim of the festival is to create Europe from the bottom up. It's one of the rare occasions where Europeans have the opportunity to come together, to work across frontiers and to build something together. What they're building, in fact, is the Europe they want to live in.
In practice, the Caravan of Commons brings some occupiers of the Teatro Valle to travel from Rome to Sofia, passing through Athens, Belgrade, Rosia and Cluj-Napoca. Some of them will then continue on to Frankfurt to meet again with the rest of the caravan in a final forum in Rome.
Stiamo facendo questo viaggio perché il Teatro Valle Occupato si è inserito in una battaglia che è una battaglia a livello europeo se non globale, che è la battaglia dei beni comuni. Stiamo facendo questo viaggio per capire il livello europeo di consapevolezza in merito a questo argomento e per portare quella che è la nostra esperienza e condividere con altre realtà simili alla nostra questa nuova categoria giuridica.
The Caravan of Commons has arrived in Belgrade and is welcomed by Olga and Nicolò of European Alternatives, who is taking it to Inex Film, an occupied space of Belgrade, where there is a meeting to exchange perspectives and ideas on commons. Serbia has seen an important wave of occupations and protests to reclaim the use of public space against commodification. Many have demanded a creative reuse of the dismissed former military buildings that are still found in cities like Belgrade and Novi Sad. Coupled with the experience of the cultural occupation of Teatro Valle, the meeting is a chance to discuss a common strategy for the reclaiming of dismissed spaces to be turned into cultural and artistic centers.
Lieve come una nuvola, tornerò da te, bianco come una favola, fiero come il re, fresco come il vento del giorno in cui partì, e del fango di trincea laverò ogni macchia, e dei giorni vissuti al fronte non uno mi invecchierà.
The war is a ghost that never leaves you once you walk around Belgrade. Bera is feeling it on his skin.
Quando ti rivedrò
The caravan realizes one of the most important commons for Belgrade today definitely is peace. With this thought in mind, the caravan goes to the exchange fair organized by the Transeuropa Festival in one of the cultural centers of Belgrade.
We're at it's called Dom Omladine, which is the home for youth, basically, and this is the cultural center. They run a lot of activities here, and today we're having a fair of exchange where people have brought their goods to exchange with other people's goods.
The fair engages local producers and artists in an alternative economic exchange, creating a space of independence outside of market for the sharing of products and services. After the fair, the caravan goes to visit two emblematic spaces for commons in Belgrade, the supermarket and the street gallery.
It's a self of togetherness. It's a sense of belonging to a community and a sense of contributing to it. So it's not so much about material things and things that are built or events. It's more like a climate of thought and emotions that really pull people together. For example, in my neighborhood, on Zvezdara, there was a little park that was jeopardized because instead of it, the city planned to build the development. And the whole neighborhood drew a petition, and they managed to persuade the city to leave it as a park area. So I think that's a definition of common good and of that sense of togetherness and community. For me, the most important common good in Belgrade is the community of young people, of young creatives, and places like this. We're in a supermarket in Belgrade. It's a place where young designers have the opportunity to show their work and to meet other designers and perhaps work together. So I think this is the definition of common good in Belgrade.
This is the second exhibition, and we made it this year, and it is really important for us because we consider a public space to be a common good of people of Belgrade, and we want to use it for the better purposes than it is used now, because this was used to be an informal public toilet for the. I mean, it's just the way the things were, and we use these streets to create something better than it was before, and we're really proud of what we did.
Stiamo lasciando la Serbia e stiamo partendo per la volta di Rosia Montana in Romania.
Commons and common goods. are terms that avoid a strict definition and arise through struggle when a community decides to reclaim its right of access and management over a certain good. This relative vagueness makes commons an important discourse to weave together the different struggles resisting commodification and privatization, linking apparently as diverse mobilization as the protection of a public space, the creation of alternative economies, and the struggle to defend the Romanian mountain from a gold mine.
I beni comuni non sono dei beni dati, non sono appunto come un bene privato, un bene pubblico. Un bene comune emerge, non è dato, si manifesta, emerge nel momento in cui c'è una comunità al quale è stato sottratto che lotta per rivendicarlo.
Lieve come una nuvola, tornerò da te, bianco come una favola, fiero come il re, fresco come il vento del giorno in cui partì e del fango di trincea la...
Back in 1997, a Canadian corporation bought 80% of the soil of Rosia, Montana, with the aim of starting the exploitation of the oldest and biggest gold mine of Europe through modern methods, which will even employ cyanide, one of the most dangerous chemicals. The community began opposing the plan, asserting this would cause environmental and social catastrophe. The plan would in fact totally destroy 5 mountains and its 5 villages.
But from a symbolic point of view, this struggle has such these strange things that is exactly, I mean, a mine of gold against the people.
It's a geological site, it's an archaeological site, but you know, we need people to come here, we need people to see this, we need people to be interested in this. And we have this kind of people, but we don't have this kind of publicity.
The oldest gold mine of the world.
Of course we have, of course we have. Nobody listens to us. Nobody listens to us. Everybody's listening to the company.
It has been raining continuously since the caravan left Belgrade. The path towards Eugene David's house seems a ford. Everywhere is mud and cow dung. But there is an intrinsic poetry in this, as well as in Eugene's eyes. Eugene is not just a farmer, he's the soul of the struggle of Rosia, Montana, and one of the leaders of the resistance to the gold mine.
The mountain don't exist anymore, your place is collective also, or not, it's just a single individual fight. It's all together that you have done this.
Un drept colectiv reușești să-l faci drept colectiv puternic când ai drepturi individuale puternice și indivizii sunt puternici. Dar ce am spus eu, că la o comunitate puternică stau la bază indivizi puternici și atunci eu vreau lucru cu eu vreau să am indivizi puternici ca și comunitatea să fie puternică. Vine și vorbește ea numele, ea se înlocuiește în comunitate și vorbește ea în numele comunității. Deci comunitățile sunt importante, au un rol. Și atunci dacă este acel individ puternic care formează o comunitate, mai mulți indivizi care formează o comunitate puternică, nu vor fi victime la asemenea companii. Avem cazul Rosia Montana. E excelent, ca studiu de caz. Comunitatea din Rosia Montana s-a format timp de 2000 de ani, pe cale naturală. A venit această companie și a încercat să facă ea și să schimbe sistemul de comunitate și a distrus-o. Fiindcă a venit brutal, a venit să facă repede, să schimbe sistem, concepții, tot. Am înțeles că doar printr-o simplă declarație că eu nu vreau să pregni Rosia Montană n-am fi câștigat acest război. Atunci ar trebui să ne diversificăm mult campania. Am înțeles chestia. Și am încercat să fim cât mai creativi. Sper ca această lume să se schimbe. Și vom vedea cât vom fi de creativi.
I would like to ask you, what is according to you happiness and what is according to you freedom?
Unii erau fericiți când se văd cu un braț de aur, eu sunt fericit când îmi văd vaca frumos cum paște, când văd copacul verde. Cred că sunt legate inseparabil fericirea cu libertatea.
And what's your job?
Fermier. Am fost și inginer miner, 15 ani, finish. Nici nu vreau să fiu perfect fericit, deci vreau să și simt că trăiesc.
Rosia Montana is an intense place. Berardo cannot sleep and finds himself helping out Eugene with a birth of a calf. In Greek mythology, Europa was a cow, and the caravan cannot help but seeing this birth as a symbol, as the birth of a new Europe, the Europe that we're searching for with this trip.
Diciamo che l'animale che forse più di tutti rappresenta l'Europa, è un nuovo vitello appena nato, rappresenta una nuova Europa.
With some regret, the caravan says goodbye to Eugene and begins its trip again towards Cluj-Napoca.
Quello che abbiamo scoperto è che bene o male la situazione europea è la stessa. Stanno chiudendo tutti gli spazi della cultura e dell'incontro tra le persone e nella maggior parte dei casi, almeno per quello che riguarda i cinema e i teatri, vengono chiusi per essere rimpiazzati con delle sale di gioco, delle sale casino, delle sale slot machine. Questo non è, se succede una volta, può essere anche un caso, se succede metodicamente diventa sintomatico di un potere che non ha interesse ad avere cittadini pensanti, non ha interesse ad avere cittadini che si incontrano, che si parlano, che si guardano negli occhi, ma preferisce avere dei cittadini succubi della loro infelicità che semplicemente sperano che la fortuna un giorno li aiuti.
In Cluj-Napoca, it encounters a forum on commons organized by the Transeuropa Festival. The forum brings together activists from Eastern Europe to share approaches for the defense of common goods and network the different struggles in the region.
It's not a folly of a few deluded people that Rosia Montana shouldn't be exploited, but that same argument is being taken forward in Berlin, it's being taken forward in Italy, it's being taken forward in Bulgaria, and we're not alone, actually. We just don't have, perhaps, as good a knowledge of what all of us are doing and what strategies they're employing as the people that we're fighting against. The festival this year is trying to organize events on these topics in the different cities to try and reason together how can these different struggles be brought together.
In 2012, Romania has been at the heart of the protest wave that hit Europe. Protests were much connected with the struggle for commons and against privatization. The campaign for Rosia Montana reached a national dimension, inspiring other protests throughout the country. Opposition to the ACTA Treaty, which attempts to criminalize free software and web sharing in Europe, also fully emerged.
Stiamo per salutare dei compagni di viaggio preziosi, noi ci dirigiamo a Frankfurt e ci ritroveremo a Roma nelle giornate di European Alternative. È stata una bella esperienza che ci ha insegnato soprattutto che un'altra Europa non è una cosa utile ma una cosa necessaria.
Leaving Romania, the caravan proceeds to Frankfurt to join the Europe-wide protests of Occupy. Transeuropa Festival continues in Sofia, together with two other occupiers of the Teatro Valle.
Siamo stati invitati
dal Transeuropa Festival European Alternative
per parlare dell'esperienza del Teatro Valle, dell'occupazione, e questa è un'occasione per noi bellissima per fare rete con altri che si occupano come noi di beni comuni.
È un'emozione grandissima perché ci stiamo rendendo conto come, partendo proprio dal teatro, che vogliamo ritorni ad essere un'agorà, come è possibile veramente connettere le varie persone. I beni comuni non sono dati, non vengono calati dall'alto, ma esistono nel momento in cui c'è un gruppo di persone, di cittadini, di artisti, quando riguarda un teatro, che si prendono cura di rendere vivo quello spazio.
Bulgaria has been experiencing a situation similar to Romania's. Here too, the struggles against the ACTA Treaty have gone side by side with protests in defense of the environment, especially opposing the extraction of shale gas and mass deforestation. Urban movements reclaiming, as in Belgrade, the use of public space are also on the rise. The similarities of these struggles are discussed in a transnational forum organized by European Alternatives, with the participation of activists from Serbia, Romania, Hungary, Bulgaria, Poland, France and Italy.
The fundamental commons, in my opinion, are a huge number of commons. It's not only water, air, or information, or web, or knowledge. I think it's useful to identify some fundamental commons connected with life itself.
Can we separate the resources on the levels that you proposed? How common are some common goods and how not so common are others?
Common goods are some goods then that are in a process, in a capitalistic process of privatization.
Whatever you start doing related to common goods, actually you're going to come to these points of privatization, mafia, corruption, transparency.
The trip of the Caravan of Commons ends in Rome with a forum organized by European Alternatives at the Teatro Valle. But the result of it is a vision which, like an unfolding clue, can be unrolled throughout Europe.
Throughout the 90s and last decade, they've been telling us the solutions was privatization of everything we had. If goods and assets were privatized, they would be more efficient and cheaper. It hasn't gone that way, and we're trying, together with people of Teatro Valle and people from around Europe, to propose an alternative. That does not mean that we go back to state control, but it's a new form which allows people to take direct control of common goods and to participate in their management.
I think what has very clearly emerged is the deep awareness of the urgency of constructing a large trans-European mobilization that finally returns to European citizens the power to decide over their own future autonomously and independently, and to stop abdicating decisions over their own lives to the financial sector and to intergovernmental elites and their treaty revisions, of which the fiscal compact is just the last abomination. The very concrete attempt that has emerged over these 3 days is to imagine a large caravan of activities over the next months throughout 2012 that through a series of appointments touching European cities from Barcelona to Bucharest, from Sofia to London, is able to rally European citizens and mobilize them around a core set of clear objectives. Some of these objectives are very specific demands, such as the demand for the protection of common goods and their democratic management on the part of citizens. And these specific, concrete, transnational demands, which we plan to take forwards also using the tool of the European Citizens' Initiatives, we consider to be the building blocks for a wider and more encompassing political mobilization of European citizenry that is able to construct an effective counterpower to the Europe of the financial markets. We're convinced that an investment in people, an investment in the welfare and the well-being of the European citizens is the only precondition to return to economic growth, to return to economic well-being, and to construct a society that is based on dignity, on equality, and on the common management of our collective European future.